The bridge of the Zephyrian ship Harmony's Edge hummed with quiet activity. Commander Veltar stood near the main viewing screen, his crystalline skin shifting from calm blue to worried purple as he read the latest reports. The neutral zone had been peaceful for months, but something felt different today. "Commander," called Officer Nix from the communication station. "We're getting a strange signal." Veltar walked over to the communications console. His 4 arms moved gracefully as he adjusted the controls. The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy for their peaceful nature and their ability to speak with almost any species. Their ships often served as mediators in conflicts. "What kind of signal?" Veltar asked. "It's coming from the mining colony on Kepler 442c, Nix replied. Her tentacles danced over the control panel. "The message is broken up, but I can make out some words." Static filled the bridge speakers. Through the noise, broken words came through. "Emergency, under attack, need help. Caution, incoming Earth's battlecruiser." The entire bridge went silent. Every crew member stopped what they were doing. Veltar's skin turned a deep red color that showed extreme concern. "Did she say Earth battlecruiser?" whispered the navigation officer. Veltar nodded slowly. Everyone in the galaxy knew about Earth ships. They were not known for their advanced technology or beautiful design. They were known for something much more frightening. Human ships meant violence, chaos, and destruction. Most civilized species tried to avoid humans whenever possible. "Play the message again," Veltar ordered. The static-filled message repeated. The words were clear enough. Someone at the mining colony was warning about an incoming human battlecruiser. This could only mean trouble. "Sir," said the tactical officer, "should we contact Zephyrian Command?" Veltar thought for a moment. The mining colony on Kepler 442c was in neutral space. It was home to thousands of peaceful workers from different species. If humans were involved, those workers could be in serious danger. "Set course for Kepler 442c, Veltar commanded. "Maximum, safe speed." "Sir," the navigation officer said carefully. "Are you sure? If there really is a human battlecruiser there?" "Those are innocent people," Veltar interrupted. "We have a duty to help if we can." The Harmony's Edge turned toward the Kepler system. As they traveled through space, Veltar thought about everything he knew about humans. They had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago. In that short time, they had earned a reputation that made even the most warlike species nervous. Humans didn't follow normal rules of war. They didn't care about honor or proper battle tactics. When humans fought, they fought to win at any cost. Their ships were ugly and dangerous. Their weapons were crude, but deadly effective. Most importantly, humans seemed to enjoy fighting in a way that disturbed other species. "Commander," Officer Nix called out, "I'm trying to get a clearer signal from the colony, but there's too much interference." "Keep trying," Veltar said. "We need to know what's happening there." As the hours passed, the crew of the Harmony's Edge grew more nervous. Stories about human battles were told throughout the galaxy. There was the Battle of Centauri Prime, where a single human ship destroyed an entire pirate fleet. There was the incident at Station Omega, where humans boarded an enemy vessel and cleared it deck by deck. Every story ended the same way: total human victory and complete enemy destruction. "Approaching the Kepler system," announced the navigation officer. "We should be able to see the colony soon." "Put it on the main screen," Veltar ordered. The viewing screen showed the Kepler 442c system, where the peaceful mining colony should have been. They saw something terrible. Debris floated in space. Energy signatures showed recent weapons fire. Most frightening of all, there were 12 large ships surrounding the colony. "Those aren't human ships," the tactical officer said, with relief. Veltar looked more closely at the ships on screen. They were long and black with sharp edges. Red lights glowed along their hulls. He recognized the design immediately. Kethmore Hegemony, he said quietly. The Kethmore were one of the most aggressive species in the galaxy. They conquered other worlds and enslaved their populations. If the Kethmore were attacking the mining colony, it meant they were expanding their territory again. "Sir, we're being hailed by the lead Kethmore ship," Nix reported. "Put them through," Veltar said. Tharm. Main screen changed to show a Kethmore commander. His face was covered in dark scales, and his red eyes glowed with anger. Sharp teeth filled his mouth when he spoke. "Zephyrian vessel," the Kethmore commander said in a harsh voice. "I am Admiral Creshatal of the Iron Dominion. This system now belongs to the hegemony. Leave immediately or be destroyed." Veltar stepped forward. "Admiral, this is a peaceful mining colony in neutral space. You have no right to attack it." Creshatal laughed, a sound like metal scraping against stone. "The strong take what they want. The weak serve or die. That is the way of the universe. We cannot allow you to harm innocent civilians," Veltar said firmly. "Then you will share their fate," Creshatal replied. "Last warning, Zephyrian. Leave now." Before Veltar could respond, something incredible happened. Space itself seemed to bend and twist near the colony. Energy readings spiked beyond anything the Harmony's Edge had ever detected. "What is that?" the tactical officer asked in amazement. A massive shape began to appear in the twisted space. It was huge, ugly, and covered with more weapons than seemed possible. The ship looked like someone had taken several different vessels and welded them together. Nothing about it matched. It was painted in dark colors with bright warning stripes. Reading the ship's identification, Nix said in a shaking voice, "It's the EDS Defiant Rage, Earth Defense Corps." Veltar's skin turned completely white with shock. The warning message from the colony had been correct. A human battlecruiser had arrived. The human ship positioned itself between the Kethmore fleet and the mining colony. Even surrounded by 12 enemy vessels, it showed no signs of fear or hesitation. "All ships," came a new voice over the communication system. It was female, calm, and absolutely cold. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Corps battle. Cruiser Defiant Rage, you are attacking a civilian population in violation of galactic law." Admiral Creshatal appeared on screen again, but now he looked confused. "Human ship, this does not concern you. Withdraw immediately. You have 30 seconds to cease hostilities and withdraw from this system." Captain Chen continued as if the Admiral had not spoken. "If you do not comply, we will demonstrate why humans don't take prisoners." The Kethmore Admiral's face twisted with rage. "You are one ship against 12. You cannot threaten the hegemony." 20 seconds, came the human captain's voice. Veltar watched in fascination and terror. The human ship made no threatening moves. It just sat there in space, waiting, but somehow that made it even more frightening. 15 seconds. Admiral Creshatal's red eyes blazed with fury. "No one threatened the Kethmore hegemony. No one." 10 seconds. The countdown continued in that same cold, calm voice. On the bridge of the Harmony's Edge, no one dared to speak. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. "Time's up," Captain Chen said simply. What happened next would change everything. Admiral Creshatal had faced many enemies in his long military career. He had conquered 17 worlds for the Kethmore hegemony. He had never lost a battle. Today would be no different. "All ships," he commanded, "destroy the human vessel. Show them what happens when someone threatens the hegemony." The 12 Kethmore ships opened fire at once. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around the human battlecruiser. The weapons fire was enough to destroy a small moon. When the light from the explosions faded, everyone expected to see debris where the human ship had been. Instead, the Defiant Rage sat exactly where it had before. Its shields flickered with energy, but the ship appeared completely undamaged. "Impossible," breathed the tactical officer on the Harmony's edge. What happened next broke every rule of space combat that Veltar had ever learned. Instead of returning fire from a safe distance, the human ship did something no sane captain would ever do. It charged directly into the middle of the Kethmore fleet. The Defiant Rage accelerated at a speed that should have crushed its crew. It flew straight at the largest Kethmore ship while firing every weapon it had. But these were not normal weapons. The energy beams coming from the human ship were twice as powerful as anything in the galactic databases. "How are they generating that much power?" asked the engineering officer on the Harmony's edge. Veltar had no answer. The human ship's power output was impossible. Their weapons should have overloaded and exploded. Their engines should have failed from the stress. Instead, everything seemed to work perfectly. The Defiant Rage slammed into the side of a Kethmore cruiser. Both ships should have been destroyed by the impact. Instead, the human ship punched right through the enemy vessel like it was made of paper. The Kethmore ship broke in half and exploded. "One down," came Captain Chen's calm voice over the radio. Admiral Crescital watched in shock as his flagship shook from nearby explosions. "All ships, surround the human vessel. Don't let it escape." But the human ship was not trying to escape. It was doing the opposite. The Defiant Rage flew directly at the next closest enemy ship. Its weapons never stopped firing. Energy beams, missiles, and weapons that Veltar had never seen before filled space with destruction. The second Kethmore ship tried to run. It was too late. The human vessel caught up to it and fired a weapon that seemed to tear reality apart. The enemy ship simply disappeared in a flash of white light. "What was that?" whispered Officer Nix. "Some kind of singularity weapon," the tactical officer replied in amazement. "They compressed matter into a black hole and then released it." Veltar could hardly believe what he was seeing. The humans were not just winning the battle. They were destroying their enemies with weapons that should not exist. More importantly, they were doing it with a style of fighting that terrified everyone watching. The Defiant Rage did not fight like a normal warship. It moved like a living thing, twisting and turning through space in ways that should have been impossible. When Kethmore ships tried to surround it, the human vessel would suddenly change direction and ram through their formation. "They're using their ship as a weapon," Veltar realized. Admiral Crescital was screaming orders at his remaining ships, but it was clear that he was losing control of the battle. His crews had never faced an enemy like this. The humans fought, without fear, without hesitation, and without mercy. The third Kethmore ship exploded when the Defiant Rage somehow fired a missile that went through its shields like they were not there. The fourth ship tried to retreat, but a human weapon reached out across space and grabbed it with some kind of energy field. The ship was crushed like an egg. "Sir," the communications officer on the Harmony's edge said nervously, "should we try to help?" "Help who?" Veltar asked. "The battle is already over." He was right. In less than 10 minutes, the human ship had destroyed half of the Kethmore fleet. The remaining ships were trying to run, but the Defiant Rage was faster than all of them. Captain Chen's voice came over the radio again. "Admiral Crescital, your remaining ships have two choices. Surrender now or join your friends." "Never!" Crescital screamed. "The hegemony does not surrender." "Very well," Captain Chen replied calmly. What happened to the remaining Kethmore ships was not a battle. It was an execution. The human vessel moved through space like death itself, destroying everything in its path. The weapons of the Defiant Rage seemed to adapt to whatever defenses the enemy used. Shields, armor, and electronic countermeasures were all useless. When it was over, 12 Kethmore ships had been reduced to floating debris. Not a single enemy vessel escaped. The space around the mining colony was filled with wreckage and the fading energy signatures of massive explosions. The Defiant Rage sat quietly in space, its weapons powering down. Except for some scorch marks on its hull, the ship looked exactly as it had when the battle started. "Attention all vessels," Captain Chen announced. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Corps. The threat has been eliminated. Mining. Colony Kepler 442c is now under Earth protection. Veltar looked at his crew. Every face showed the same expression of shock and disbelief. They had just watched a single human ship destroy an entire enemy fleet in minutes. "Sir," Officer Nix said quietly, "the human ship is hailing us." "Put them through," Veltar ordered, though his voice shook slightly. The main screen showed the bridge of the Defiant Rage. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the center. She was smaller than Veltar had expected, with short, dark hair and calm brown eyes. She wore a simple military uniform with no decorations. Behind her, human crew members worked at their stations, as if destroying entire fleets was just another day at work. "Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian vessel Harmony's Edge, Captain," Chen said with a slight smile. "Thank you for coming to help the colony. I'm sorry you had to witness that unpleasantness." "Captain," Veltar managed to say, "that was incredible." "That was Tuesday," Captain Chen replied. "Admiral Crescital chose poorly. The Kethmore hegemony has been expanding into neutral space for months. Earth decided it was time to send them a message." Veltar's skin shifted to a pale green color that showed confusion. "Captain, may I ask, how did you know to come here?" Captain Chen's smile grew wider. "Commander, that distress signal wasn't a warning about humans coming. It was a request for human help. The colony administrator contacted Earth 3 days ago. The caution message was meant to warn other ships that we were responding. You..." "Mean," Veltar began. "The mining colony asked us to come," Captain Chen confirmed. "Word has been spreading through the outer colonies. When pirates or slavers attack, Earth responds. We protect those who cannot protect themselves." This changed everything. The humans were not random destroyers. They were protectors. But their methods of protection were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "Captain," Veltar said carefully, "your ship is listed in our databases as a light cruiser." Captain Chen nodded. "That's correct. The Defiant Rage is one of our smaller patrol vessels." Veltar's skin turned completely white with shock. If this terrifying warship was considered small by human standards, what were their real battle cruisers like? He was afraid to find out. Captain Chen turned to one of her crew members. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, send a boarding party to check for survivors in the Kethmore wreckage." "Yes, Captain," the young human replied. "Standard sweep and rescue?" "Negative," Chen said, her voice becoming colder. "Search and confirm. No survivors returned to hegemony space." Veltar felt his skin turn a sick yellow color. "Captain, surely you don't mean to execute prisoners of war?" Captain Chen looked at him with those calm brown eyes. "Commander, the Kethmore hegemony does not take prisoners. They enslave or kill everyone they defeat. 3 months ago, they attacked a refugee ship carrying families fleeing a war zone. 700 civilians died, including 200 children." She paused, letting that information sink in. "Earth has learned that some enemies cannot be reasoned with. They only understand strength. Today we made sure the hegemony understands exactly how strong Earth can be." The human boarding parties moved through the wreckage with frightening efficiency. Their soldiers wore heavy armor and carried weapons that looked more like small cannons than rifles. They moved through the destroyed ships like they had done this many times before. "Captain," came a voice from one of the boarding teams, "we found Admiral Crescital. He's alive but badly injured." "Bring him to the brig," Captain Chen ordered. "He has information we need." Veltar watched the humans work. Everything they did was precise and professional, but also completely ruthless. They showed no emotion as they searched through the destruction they had created. This was not their first battle, and it would not be their last. "Commander Veltar," Captain Chen said, "would you like to come aboard the Defiant Rage? I think there are some things about Earth that you should understand." Every instinct told Veltar to refuse. Human ships were dangerous places for non-humans, but his duty as a Zephyrian officer required him to learn more about this new factor in galactic politics. I would be honored, he replied. Good. I'll have a shuttle pick you up in 10 minutes. The human shuttle that arrived at the Harmony's edge was unlike any transport Veltar had ever seen. It was small, fast, and armed with enough weapons to destroy most civilian ships. The human pilot was friendly, but clearly ready for trouble. First time on a human ship? The pilot asked as they flew toward the defiant Rage. Yes, Veltar admitted. You'll be fine, the pilot said with a grin. Just don't touch anything that's glowing red and duck if someone yells incoming. That was not very reassuring. The inside of the defiant Rage was a maze of corridors, pipes, and exposed machinery. Everything looked like it had been built for function rather than beauty. Red warning lights flashed constantly. Alarms beeped and buzzed from every direction. The air smelled of metal, oil, and something Veltar could not identify. Welcome to organized chaos, Captain Chen said as she met him at the airlock. Sorry about the noise. We're running diagnostics on the weapon systems. As they walked through the ship, Veltar saw things that amazed and terrified him. Weapons that were literally bolted to the walls wherever they would fit. Armor plating that had been welded over existing armor plating. Emergency repair systems that looked like they were always in use. Captain, Veltar said carefully, your ship appears to have been modified extensively. Every human ship is modified, Chen replied. We build them, then we improve them, then we improve them again. The Defiant Rage has been rebuilt 17 times in the past 5 years. They passed a group of human engineers working on something that looked like a missile launcher. The weapon was 3 times larger than any missile system in Veltar's databases. What is that? He asked. Antimatter torpedo launcher, one of the engineers replied cheerfully. We're upgrading it to fire singularity warheads. Veltar's skin turned pale blue with fear. Singularity warheads were theoretical weapons that most species considered too dangerous to build. Humans were not only building them, they were installing them as standard equipment. Don't worry, Captain Chen said, noticing his reaction. We know what we're doing, mostly. That was even less reassuring than the shuttle pilot's comment. They arrived at Captain Chen's office, which was surprisingly normal. It had a desk, chairs, and what looked like family pictures on the walls. For a moment, Veltar could almost forget he was on a ship that had just destroyed 12 enemy vessels. Please, sit down, Captain Chen said. Would you like something to drink? We have excellent coffee. Veltar had heard about human coffee. It was supposedly strong enough to dissolve metal. Thank you. But no. Captain Chen poured herself a cup of the dark liquid and sat down across from him. Commander, what do you know about Earth's history? Very little, Veltar admitted. Your species only joined the galactic community 50 years ago. That's right, Chen said, taking a sip of her coffee. Do you know why it took us so long to reach the stars? Veltar shook his head. We were too busy fighting each other, Chen explained. For thousands of years, humans fought wars on Earth. Big wars, small wars, wars for land, wars for resources, wars for ideas. We got very, very good at killing each other. She paused, looking at the pictures on her desk. When we finally reached space, we brought those skills with us. But we also brought something else. What? The knowledge of what happens when good people do nothing to stop evil ones, Chen said quietly. We learned that sometimes violence is the only thing that stops greater violence. Captain Chen stood up and walked to a wall screen that showed the mining colony. The settlement was intact, and ships were already arriving to help with repairs. The Kethmore hegemony has enslaved 47 species, she continued. They have destroyed hundreds of worlds. They kill anyone who resists and enslave anyone who surrenders. The galactic community has done nothing to stop them because everyone is afraid. But surely the Galactic Council... Veltar began. The Galactic Council writes strongly worded letters, Chen interrupted. Earth writes stronger messages. She turned back to face him. Commander, in the past 5 years, how many hegemony attacks have happened in sectors where Earth patrols? Veltar thought about it. I cannot recall any. 0, Captain Chen confirmed. Not because we destroyed their entire fleet, but because they know what will happen if they try. Word spreads quickly in the galaxy. Today's battle will be known throughout hegemony space within a week. You use fear as a weapon, Veltar realized. We use the threat of overwhelming force to prevent the need for overwhelming force, Chen corrected. It's much more efficient. A young human officer entered the office. Captain, Admiral Kreshetal is awake and demanding to speak with you. Excellent, Chen said. Commander Veltar, would you like to observe an interrogation? I think you'll find it educational. Veltar was not sure he wanted to see how humans question prisoners, but his curiosity won out. Yes, Captain. They made their way to the ship's detention area. Admiral Kreshetal sat in a cell that was clearly built to hold dangerous prisoners. The Kethmore Admiral looked smaller now, his scales dull with pain and defeat. Human, he spat, when he saw Captain Chen. You have violated every law of civilized warfare, Admiral, Chen replied calmly. Civilized warfare is an oxymoron. War is never civilized. It's just organized violence with rules that everyone pretends to follow. She stood outside his cell, hands clasped behind her back. You have information about hegemony fleet positions and planned attacks. You can give me that information willingly, or my crew can extract it from your ship's computers. Your choice. I will tell you nothing, Kreshetal snarled. That's fine, Chen said. We already have everything we need from your flagship's database. I was just being polite. The Admiral's face showed shock and rage. Impossible! Our computers are encrypted. Captain Chen smiled. Admiral, humans have been breaking codes since before we had computers. Your encryption was cracked 17 minutes ago. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Admiral, you'll be transferred to the Galactic Council for trial. They'll probably give you a comfortable prison sentence. Earth doesn't take prisoners, but we don't execute them either. We're not monsters. As they walked away, Veltar could hear the Admiral screaming threats and curses behind them. Captain, Veltar said quietly, that was not an interrogation. No, Chen agreed. That was a demonstration. By tomorrow, every intelligence service in the galaxy will know that human computer experts can break hegemony encryption in minutes. That information is worth more than anything the Admiral could have told us. Veltar was beginning to understand how humans really fought. It was not just about superior weapons or tactics. It was about controlling information, spreading fear, and making their enemies afraid to act. Captain, may I ask you something? Of course. Are humans really as violent as everyone believes? Captain Chen was quiet for a long moment. Commander, humans are capable of terrible violence when we need to be. But most of us would rather tend gardens, raise children, and write poetry. We fight because someone has to. We fight so that others don't have to. She looked out at the stars through a nearby window. The galaxy is full of predators, Commander. Earth has decided to be the apex predator, not because we enjoy it, but because the alternative is letting the Kethmore hegemony enslave everyone. For the first time, since meeting the humans, Veltar began to understand. 3 days after the battle, Veltar found himself in a situation he had never expected. He was sitting in the dining hall of a human warship, eating something called pizza with the crew of the Defiant Rage. So this is how humans always eat? He asked Lieutenant Rodriguez, who was sitting across from him. Pretty much, Rodriguez replied, taking a large bite of his slice. We believe good food makes good fighters. Plus, cooking together builds teamwork. Veltar looked around the dining hall. Humans of all sizes and colors sat together, talking and laughing as they ate. They did not look like the terrifying warriors he had seen in battle. They looked like ordinary people enjoying a meal with friends. "Lieutenant," Veltar said carefully, "may I ask you something personal?" "Sure." "Before you joined the military, what did you do?" Rodriguez smiled. "I was a teacher. I taught mathematics to children on Mars colony." This shocked Veltar. "A teacher? But you fought so effectively against the Kethmore." "Everyone on this ship has a story like that," Rodriguez explained. "Our pilot used to design gardens. Our weapons officer was a doctor. Our chief engineer built toys for children." "Then why are you here?" Rodriguez's expression became more serious. "Because 3 years ago, pirates attacked my school. They killed 12 children and took 30 more as slaves. The Galactic Council condemned the attack and promised to investigate." He paused, staring at his food. "Earth found the pirates 6 days later. We got our children back, and the pirates, well, they won't be attacking any more schools." Veltar was beginning to understand something important about humans. They were not naturally violent, but when someone threatened the things they cared about, they became extremely dangerous. Captain Chen entered the dining hall and sat down with them. "Commander Veltar, I hope you've enjoyed your stay with us." "It has been very educational," Veltar replied honestly. "Good. Your ship received a message from Zephyrian Command this morning. They want you to return immediately for debriefing." Veltar nodded. He had been expecting this. The destruction of an entire Kethmore fleet by a single human ship would send shockwaves through the galactic community. "Captain," he said, "may I ask what Earth plans to do next?" "Continue our patrols," Chen replied simply. "The galaxy is a big place, and there are many predators besides the Kethmore hegemony. What about the other major powers? Surely they will be concerned about Earth's military capabilities." Captain Chen smiled. "Commander, would you like to know a secret?" Veltar leaned forward, intrigued. "Most of the major powers already know exactly how strong Earth is," Chen said quietly. "They've known for years. Why do you think the Andromedan Empire stopped expanding 5 years ago? Why do you think the Rigel Syndicate suddenly became interested in peace treaties?" "Because of Earth?" "Because we had quiet conversations with their leaders," Chen confirmed. "We explained that Earth was willing to be friends with anyone who wanted to be friends. We also explained what happened to people who preferred to be enemies." Veltar's skin shifted to a thoughtful orange color. "So today's battle was not really about saving the mining colony." "Oh, it was definitely about saving the colony," Chen said firmly. "But it was also about sending a message to anyone else who might be thinking about attacking civilians." "What message?" "That Earth keeps its promises," Captain Chen replied. "We promised to protect the innocent. We promised to stop those who prey on the weak. We promised that there would be consequences for evil actions." She stood up and walked to a large window that showed the stars. "Commander, do you know what the most powerful weapon in the galaxy is?" "Your singularity torpedoes," Veltar guessed. "Reputation," Chen said. "A single battle can save 1,000 worlds if the right people are watching." The next morning, Veltar prepared to return to his own ship. Captain Chen met him at the shuttle bay to say goodbye. "Commander," she said, "I have a favor to ask." "Of course, Captain. When you report to your superiors, please be accurate about what you saw here. Don't exaggerate our capabilities, but don't minimize them either." "I will tell them exactly what happened," Veltar promised. "Good. And please tell them that Earth values the Zephyrian Collective as friends and allies. Your people's dedication to peace is admirable." "What about our lack of military strength?" Veltar asked. "We cannot defend ourselves the way humans can." Captain Chen smiled. "Commander, There are many ways to be strong. Zephyrians are the best diplomats in the galaxy. You prevent wars before they start. That's more valuable than any weapon. But if diplomacy fails, then Earth will be there, Chen said simply. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. That includes our friends. As Veltar's shuttle flew back to the Harmony's edge, he thought about everything he had learned. The humans were not the mindless killers that galactic rumors made them out to be. They were ordinary people who had chosen to bear an extraordinary burden. Back on his own ship, Veltar called his crew together. They deserved to know the truth about what they had witnessed. The humans are not monsters, he told them. They are guardians. They have made themselves into something terrible so that others don't have to be. Officer Nix raised a tentacle. Sir, what should we tell Command about human military capabilities? The truth, Veltar replied. That a single human patrol vessel destroyed 12 enemy ships in minutes. That their weapons and tactics are beyond anything in our databases. That they fight not for conquest, but for protection. Will Command believe us? Asked the tactical officer. They will have to, Veltar said, because this battle will be talked about throughout the galaxy. Every species will want to know what happened here. 3 weeks later, Veltar stood before the Zephyrian High Council, delivering his report. The council chamber was filled with the most important leaders of his people. They listened in stunned silence as he described the battle. Honorable counselors, he concluded, Earth has become the guardian of galactic peace. They do this not through treaties or negotiations, but through the simple promise that evil actions will have terrible consequences. High Counselor Zara, the eldest member of the council, spoke first. Commander Veltar, you are asking us to believe that humans destroyed an entire enemy fleet to protect a mining colony they had never visited before. Yes, Honorable Counselor. And that they did this because the colony asked for help? Yes. Counselor Zara was quiet for a long moment. Commander, what is your assessment of human intentions toward the Zephyrian collective? They consider us friends, Veltar replied. Captain Chen specifically mentioned that Earth values our diplomatic skills, even though we cannot match their military power. Especially because we cannot match their military power, Veltar said. The humans understand that strength comes in many forms. They respect our commitment to peace. Another counselor spoke up. What happens if we are attacked? Will Earth really help us? Veltar thought about Captain Chen's calm promise. Honorable Counselor, I believe that anyone who attacks the Zephyrian collective will face the same fate as Admiral Crescital's fleet. That is a comforting thought, Counselor Zara said, but also a terrifying one. We are placing our trust in a species that can destroy entire fleets. With respect, Honorable Counselor, Veltar said, we are placing our trust in a species that chooses not to destroy entire fleets unless they have to. The distinction was important. Earth had the power to conquer the galaxy, but they chose to protect it instead. That choice made all the difference. As Veltar left the council chamber, he wondered what other changes Earth would bring to the galaxy. One thing was certain. The universe would never be the same again. 6 months after the Battle of Kepler 442c, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. Veltar stood on the observation deck of Zephyrian Station Alpha, watching ships come and go through the busy spaceport. The view was different now. Where once he had seen only Zephyrian vessels and occasional traders, now he saw ships from dozens of species. All of them flew under small Earth Defense Corps escort flags. Commander, called Officer Nix, who had been promoted to his second-in-command. The monthly Galactic Council report is ready for your review. Veltar took the datapad and read through the statistics. Pirate attacks were down 80% across all sectors. Hegemony expansion had stopped completely. Trade between peaceful species had increased by 300%. Most surprising of all, applications for Galactic Council membership had doubled. Remarkable, Veltar said quietly. Sir? Nix asked. 6 months ago, most species were afraid to travel beyond their home systems. Now look at this place. We have more visitors in a day than we used to get in a month. The Earth Protection Guarantee, Nix said, using the popular term for Earth's promise to defend peaceful ships and colonies. Everyone knows that attacking a ship flying the blue and gold flag means facing human retaliation. Veltar nodded. The small flags were simple pieces of cloth, but they had become the most powerful symbols in the galaxy. Ships that flew them were guaranteed safe passage. Colonies that displayed them were guaranteed protection. Pirates and raiders had learned to avoid anything marked with Earth's colors. Commander, Nix continued, we've received a priority message from the Galactic Council. They're calling an emergency session. What's the emergency? Veltar asked. The Andromedan Empire wants to discuss trade agreements. This was news. The Andromedan Empire was one of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. For centuries, they had remained isolated in their home sector, considering themselves superior to all other species. If they wanted to discuss trade agreements, something significant had changed. 2 days later, Veltar found himself in the Great Council Chamber on Galactic Station 1. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the circular hall. At the center of the room, Ambassador Chen Wei of Earth sat at a simple desk, looking remarkably calm for someone representing the galaxy's newest superpower. Veltar had learned that Ambassador Chen was Captain Sarah Chen's older sister. The family resemblance was clear, but where the captain was a warrior, the ambassador was a diplomat. She had the same calm confidence, but she used words instead of weapons. Honored delegates, announced the council speaker, we are here to discuss the formal proposal from the Andromedan Empire. Emperor Zixthara of Andromeda rose from his seat. He was an impressive figure, tall and elegant, with skin that shifted through different colors as he spoke. The Andromedans were known for their advanced technology and their sense of superiority over younger species. Fellow beings, the Emperor said in his musical voice. The Andromedan Empire wishes to propose a new trade partnership with the Galactic Council. Murmurs filled the chamber. This was unprecedented. The Andromedans had never shown interest in trading with other species before. Furthermore, the Emperor continued, we wish to formally request membership in the Earth Defense Corps. Protection system? The chamber erupted in shocked voices. The proud Andromedans were asking for Earth's protection. Veltar could hardly believe it. Ambassador Chen stood up slowly. Your Imperial Majesty, she said politely, Earth is honored by your request. May I ask what has prompted this change in Andromedan policy? Emperor Zixthara's skin shifted to what Veltar recognized as embarrassment among his species. Ambassador Chen, recent events have made it clear that isolation is no longer a viable strategy. The galaxy has become dangerous. Could you be more specific? Ambassador Chen asked. The Emperor hesitated, then spoke more quietly. 3 weeks ago, a Kethmore raiding fleet attacked our outer colonies. We repelled them, but barely. Our military advisors estimate that without significant upgrades, we cannot defend against a full hegemony assault. I see, Ambassador Chen said. And what makes you think Earth would be willing to help? Because, the Emperor said, his skin now showing deep respect, Earth has proven that it keeps its promises. When you say you will protect someone, you do it. When you say there will be consequences for aggression, there are. Ambassador Chen sat back down. Your Majesty, Earth's protection comes with certain requirements. Are you prepared to discuss them? We are, the Emperor replied immediately. First, all Andromedan ships engaged in trade or exploration must carry clearly visible identification and follow standard galactic traffic protocols. The Emperor nodded. This was reasonable. Second, any Andromedan territory under Earth protection must allow free passage to peaceful ships from all species. The Emperor hesitated. The Andromedans had never allowed outsiders into their space, but after a moment, he nodded again. Third, Ambassador Chen continued, Andromedans must agree to share basic defensive technologies with other Council member species. This time, the Emperor looked shocked. Ambassador, our technological secrets are the reason you're sitting here asking for help? Ambassador Chen interrupted gently. Your Majesty, Earth's protection is not just about military force. It's about building a community where everyone helps everyone else. What do you mean? The Emperor asked. Ambassador Chen gestured around the chamber. 6 months ago, this room was filled with species that barely spoke to each other. Today, we have trade agreements, research partnerships, and mutual defense pacts between civilizations that had never even met before. She stood up again. Earth doesn't want to rule the galaxy, Your Majesty. We want to protect it. But protection only works if everyone contributes something to the common good. The Emperor was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. What would Earth want from Andromeda? Your knowledge, Ambassador Chen replied simply. Andromedans have mastered energy, shield technology that could protect civilian ships from pirates. You have medical advances that could save lives throughout the galaxy. You have art and literature that could enrich every culture. And in return, you get to sleep safely at night knowing that anyone who attacks Andromedan territory will face the combined response of Earth's military and every other species in the protection network. Veltar watched as understanding dawned on the Emperor's face. Earth was not building an empire. They were building something much more powerful, a community where every member had a stake in protecting everyone else. The Andromedan Empire accepts these terms, the Emperor said formally. The chamber erupted in cheers and applause. The addition of Andromeda to the Earth Protection Network meant that nearly every major civilization in the galaxy was now part of the same mutual defense system. After the session ended, Veltar approached Ambassador Chen. Ambassador, may I congratulate you on an extraordinary achievement? Thank you, Commander Veltar, she replied with a smile. Though I should point out that we couldn't have done this without the Zephyrian Collective's diplomatic expertise. How do you mean? The trade agreements, the mutual defense pacts, the research partnerships, those all came from Zephyrian proposals. Earth provides the military deterrent, but your people provide the framework for cooperation. Veltar felt a warm glow of pride. The Zephyrians might not have the most powerful weapons, but they were contributing to galactic peace in their own way. Ambassador, he said, what happens next? Surely Earth cannot protect the entire galaxy forever. We won't have to, Ambassador Chen replied. In 5 years, maybe 10, the protection network will be so strong that no one will dare attack it. Pirates will become extinct because there will be no easy targets. Aggressive empires will join the network because isolation will mean economic death. And then Earth military ships can go back to being exploration vessels, she said with a slight smile. Did you know that most of our battle cruisers were originally built for scientific research? We had to add all those weapons later. This surprised Veltar. You mean humans prefer exploration to warfare? Commander, humans prefer anything to warfare. We're good at it, but that doesn't mean we enjoy it. 3 hours later, Veltar stood again on the observation deck of his station, but now he was not alone. Emperor Zixathara stood beside him, watching the stars. Commander, the Emperor said quietly, may I ask you something? Of course, Your Majesty. Do you think the humans are really as peaceful as they claim? Veltar thought about Captain Sarah Chen and her crew. He remembered the way they had destroyed an entire enemy fleet, then immediately begun rescue operations for survivors. He thought about the way they had treated him as a guest rather than a potential threat. "Your Majesty," he said finally, "I think humans are exactly as peaceful as they can afford to be, and they work very hard to make sure they can afford to be very peaceful indeed." Far away in another part of the galaxy, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiant Rage, reading a report from Galactic Command. The Kethmore hegemony had just requested membership in the Earth Protection Network. "Captain," asked Lieutenant Rodriguez, "what should we tell them?" Captain Chen smiled. "Tell them we'll consider their application after they release all their slaves and pay reparations to the